Ακούτε το LGR στους 103,3 FM, στο μικρόφωνο Βασούλα Χριστοδούλου, και σήμερα φιλοξενούμε μία δημοφιλή Σκοτσέζα καλλιτέχνηδα και τη γνωρίζουμε μάλιστα από μία αγαπημένη μας μουσική εκπομπή του BBC, για όσους θυμάστε φυσικά, τα Top of the Pops, και πρόκειται για τη Lucinda Sieger, η οποία το 1991 κατάφερε να φτάσει στο νούμερο 1 με το τραγούδι 40 Miles. Η Λουσίντα έχει να μας δώσει το δικό της εμπνευστικό μήνυμα για τη ζωή. Lucinda, it's a great pleasure to have you with us today. And I have to say that I'm meeting many people that stand out from the crowd. They stand out because they have a deep spark in their eyes that make them shine. Their eyes lighten up in a magic way when they do or talk about things they are passionate about. However, I found out that this spark is especially intense by people that not only love what they do, but also find a meaning in what they do. I'm extremely fascinated by this spark, so I decided to interview the inspiring people I meet on my way and share the stories that make them shine with you. Lucinda, I have to say that you do have this spark, and I'm really excited that you will share with us today your very special message. Welcome at LGR.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Βασούλα. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be invited to speak, especially at such a time in our life. This time where so many people are separated by COVID-19, and so many performers and artists are unable, as we know, to present anything live, perform live. So this has been quite a challenging time for all of us. So it's been a wonderful pleasure for me to also meet you, who I find very inspiring.
Thank you, Lucinda. Lucinda, tell us about your Scottish background a little bit, and how comes you can speak Greek?
My Scottish background, I was born in Glasgow, and which is a wonderful city. It's got a great humour. I find the Glasgow humour probably is what made me who I am today. And I came to London to study art, and through coming to London to study art, the bigger stories of my life, which there are many, like lots of little seeds, grew, and one of those seeds was through meeting a friend who became the producer of many of my albums, Nick Page, Dub Colossus. His cousin is Harriet, the painter, who eventually I met in, Galatas, which is south of Poros on the Peloponnese, and I studied Greek for 1 year. So that was in 1988. So from Glasgow to Galatas in Greece.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah. And what happened with Harriet?
And we met in 1988, and I started to write letters, and it was through the first letter that I wrote to him, because in those days people didn't travel the way they do now. So I used to communicate to him through illustrated letters, from which the way I described to him how I felt at that point in London was I drew a little lump of lead, which was called Harriet. And as you know, Harriet has expanded and grown through my life. But
of course, we will talk about Harriet. but with what happened? Did this develop into a relationship?
Yes. Yes, he's been my partner. A long-distance romance that he lived there, I lived here because I had to be here. And we've been, it's been a relationship that's grown and grown, and we still are.
So it was like love at first sight?
Yes, I mean, some people say it was Shirley Valentine.
Excellent. I really love these romantic stories. Okay, before we talk about Harriet, tell us about your success at Top of the Pops, please.
Well, Top of the Pops is like everything I say to people. Everything is, there's so many stories that make a story, and Top of the Pops was literally, when I was at art college, I had a band called Continental Cartoon that described everything in love I love. I love, which is Hollywood and musical set design, cartoon, continental music. And in my band was the percussionist Neil Barnes, who's a great friend of mine, and he has a band called Left Field. He formed Left Field. And years after recording Sunset Red, which was my first single, Neil was played the percussion. He got in touch with me to say he was signed to a record label, putting out his records, and they were looking for a singer. And so I go to this record company, I meet the boss. The boss is on the telephone. He's sitting at the table, talking, and I'm thinking, why am I sitting here when somebody's sitting on the phone, talking? So I stood up to go. And as I stood up to go, and I shrugged my shoulders and said, and I looked at the clock, and I thought, I didn't come here to listen to a phone call. And then he put the phone down, he sat me down, he said, I hear your voice on Sunset Red. Lovely to meet you. And then a couple of years later, somebody comes along, moves into where I live, and she's working for the record label. They have a rave track that's landed on their desk, which is purely instrumental, and then I get recalled back into the record label saying, we love your voice. We'd like to match your voice with this piece of music. And so I improvised when I heard it.
Amazing.
I improvised, and I thought
Amazing.
I didn't really like it because it wasn't something I was used to. I'm used to jazz and Latin harmonies. And I heard this, and I thought, but I still came up with I'm only 40. As soon as I heard it, I just went, I'm only 40 miles away from love. And I just spontaneously sang, and it became recorded. And 2 weeks later, I ended up on the first live ever recording of Top of the Pops.
Because back then, if I remember well, they were not live, most of the
That's
shows.
correct.
Yes? Okay.
This was the first ever live recording. And remember, I'd never been on television on a live show before. So it was quite a challenge.
I can imagine. And, I remembered you from your hairstyle.
Yes.
That was really unique.
Well, the record company said, we know you're an artist. Would you like to design the set? And I said, design the set? Do you want to pay me? And they said, no. And I said, well, in that case. So I put on a treble clef instead. It was Halloween.
That was amazing. But you reached number one,
Yes.
Lucinda. So that was amazing. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you
and
very much.
Would you say that was your best performance?
I think it was an incredible... For me, that was the most difficult, challenging song I think anyone could ever sing, because it was never a verse and a chorus. It was an improvisation. So all the way through that improvisation live for a live recording, I was counting all the way through to come in at the right place to sing the right little piece of improvisation that I had made up on the spot. So I had to practice and practice and practice. And so actually it was a wonderful opportunity to perform live and express in a totally different way that no one had ever heard before. I was the first to,
yes.
literally.
I'm sure everything else was easy after that performance.
Yes.
So have you performed anywhere else after that?
Yes, I performed I toured the States.
Okay.
After that, and I went. If you've heard of Bronski Beat, they were a group, and one of the Bronski Beat heard me singing. It was a fundraising record to make money for the homeless, and he met me at that and heard me sing and asked me to come on tour with him. So I was touring huge venues in the States, and the billboard sign said Bronski Beat, but it wasn't Bronski Beat. It was Steve Bronski and Lucinda Sieger.
Okay.
So it was interesting for me to see how, you can do something in life, but it gets translated in a different way, but you still have a story and still have an adventure. And then I've been on TV in Gibraltar, in Sweden, playing live, and it's a very different, to play live on television is very, very different to performing in a theatre space or a venue.
Did you also perform at the Barbican?
Where?
Barbican or is
Oh, the
something?
Barbican, yes. That was when I graduated from art college. I went looking for work. So I went to the ICA, I went around magazines. And the incredible thing is I showed them my portfolio from work. And what ended up happening was I ended up getting invited to do this musical exhibition at the Barbican. So I was able to bring my art school drawings to life. And I made a video.
Fantastic.
And again, through taking that portfolio of work around magazines, trying to get a job, I ended up getting invited to be interviewed for the magazine. And I said, well, this is great, but I'd really like a job. So I ended up in loads of magazines, they were writing about me as a singer and designer. And I got wonderful reviews as in my design alone, as doing something very different, because what I love to do is to bring people together.
Fantastic.
And so my performance at the Barbican was me, my songs and sets, but with a little story involving my friend's clothes. So it would be her fashion.
Fantastic.
Oh, it was good. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So yes, I mean...
Can you, Lucinda, tell us also about a portrait of Great Britain?
Oh, yes, that was...
Please.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? There's all these stories. I had a wonderful band
Yes, I would
member.
like to hear a bit more about it, please.
I've got so many. I was trying to write. How do I make this really small? But the Barbican... the Portrait of Great Britain was after I'd released Sunset Red in 1988. I had a band member called Miles Ross, who's the brother of Jonathan Ross, if you know him.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Miles was trying to do an arrangement of one of my songs, and he said, you go away and let me do this arrangement. And I came back, and he looked at me, and I said, well, it's really nice. However, but... And so he went on and got a job in television, and that led to him coming back to me and bringing this American television producer called Merle Worth, who'd worked with the Rolling Stones. And she met me, and I was living in a squat. And I don't know if you know what a squat is. It's an old house that instead of paying rent, a lot of artists move into old buildings and they live there, they look after them, and then they move on.
Okay.
And at this point, I was in King's Cross living in a squat, which was a house full of wonderful artists. And Miles brought Merle to the house, and she chatted to me and looked at all my artwork on the walls, heard my music, we had a really long chat. And she just loved what I was doing, so she asked me if I would like to be part and represent the arts of Great Britain for a program called A Portrait of Great Britain, being presented by Blake Carrington from Dynasty.
Okay.
It's hilarious, and he had never, ever been to a squat before. And so he presented it, and so there I was presenting, bringing my drawings to life, my ideas to life, and one of the ideas was to project my face onto a pink light bulb. And the director of that program, of that series, he said, you're not going to be able to do this. It just won't work. And I said, but it will. And he said, but time is money. Time is money. And I said, it will work. Just relax. And persevered and got it to work. So basically, it was a wonderful opportunity again to be represented and to represent, to be selected. And this, I was in the very last episode, which followed me around London, fly posting my pictures and drawing and talking and playing with my band. And it was a lovely, lovely, lovely opportunity, and it also won an award.
Amazing experience, I can imagine. Well done, Lucinda. Amazing. Now, I happen to see, well, thanks to you, this beautiful, very inspirational video, Life is Art, and it's talking about Harriet.
Yes.
It's a beautiful message. I would like to tell us about this video about Harriet. Who is Harriet, and what inspired you to start drawing Harriet? What is the message that you want to give through Harriet?
Well, Harriet είναι το τούβλο.
Tuvlo.
Ναι.
Okay. What, a brick? A brick? Do you mean a...
Harriet is a brick, and she began her life in 1988 when I wrote this letter to a hettas to describe how I felt and how to communicate. And she is my vehicle for communicating how I feel, what I see, what I observe, my emotions. And she started her life as a lump of lead in that letter because I felt so heavy at the time. I was looking for work, and so in this illustration I thought, how can I express this? So it was, I drew a lump of lead with little eyes and no eyelashes and a teardrop and a drain. And over the years she has grown and grown and grown and grown. And with my life, she's followed my life, been drawn in my life. So she's toured the States, she's been in a limousine, she's been on top of the pops. So she has everything I do. I use her to express myself for myself.
Amazing.
She was a gift.
Yes.
She's always been a gift, and everything I do in life has come through being a gift that I was drawing for somebody or making, and that's been the inspiration. And so Harriet was Christmas cards, birthday cards.
Yes.
And then eventually, over the years, I decided, it was in 2008, I was doing a job, and I just thought, right, from now on I'm going to buy a moleskin book and I'm going to draw Harriet before I do anything in the morning. So I've got my Harriet time. And from that moment onwards, she's diarized my life. And this, during lockdown, came to life when I got a phone call at the beginning of the lockdown from my niece's husband. And he said, Lucie, I know you draw Harriet every day, and I've got a project called 52 Humans, which are weekly stories about people that inspire him. He said, would you like to make a little video about you and Harriet? But the only thing is, I can't come to London to film you. Can you film yourself? Well, I've never done that before.
Sophie, you became a film producer as well.
I mean, at college I made videos. I did make videos at college, but I worked with somebody who did the filming, and I drew it and I wrote it. In this case, I thought, well, I do have an iPhone, so I took the iPhone. I said, yes. He said, well, when do you want to do it? And I said, we better do it now, because we've got to grab this moment in time and do it now. So he drew me 3 pictures of the 3 angles that he wanted, and then he gave it to me, sent it to me. I tied my telephone to the neck of my guitar. I moved my guitar around, all around to get the right shot. And so I caught myself on camera talking to my iPhone to send to him.
I did say at the beginning that you have a very inspirational story and message, Lucinda. Yeah. And I was right. Carry on. So can you tell us exactly, well, whatever you remember, of course, what you said on that beautiful video?
Well, what I said on the video, which, thank you very much. I'm so glad you really
I loved it. That's
it.
Why. And I want our listeners to listen to it as well. And then if you allow me, I would like to also translate it in Greek, to say it in Greek. Thank you.
Absolutely. So if you're happy, I'm going to read it because I've got the transcript.
Absolutely.
If that's okay.
Of course. Παρακαλώ.
Okay, εντάξει. Right. Harriet, for me, from the very first moment I drew her, was a way of expressing how I felt very deeply. I get totally absorbed and lost in the drawing, and everything else disappears. As I'm drawing, realizations and answers come back at me through drawing Harriet. She's me, she's my life, so as I draw her, she has diarized my life. It's incredible to think that I've been drawing her for over 30 years. That's 30 years of my life where I've observed and learnt and had different experiences and studied. So therefore, I'm able to use this knowledge and what I learned through drawing Harriet. The fun in creation is about being totally abandoned and not thinking, just being playful. And when one is playful, then one is totally liberated because there's nothing to get in the way. So we really ought to respect it sounds funny to say, the inner child, but being childish brings out so much joy. We've all got to be children, we've all got to play, and we've got to just not care in a way and not judge what we're doing before we let go. If you were to zoom out of the planet and you were to say magically, everything that's creative, I want you to light up. There would be paintings on the wall. There would be somebody artistically decorating their house. There would be a choir coming from a church. There would be music coming from a concert hall or a bar or a wine bar. There would be somebody taking an art class. There would be people in the art class watching that creativity. And if you look at the buildings and the pyramids, everything has been created by art. Every single thing. Your chair, an artist created it. Your door handle was created by an artist. And somehow, if all those creative elements lit up, the world would actively just blow up with light, because everything that we have has been created by an artist. Art is absolutely crucial to life, and for me, life is art. I think everyone is an artist. I want to live in the moment. I don't want to live in the future because it's not here yet. So my moment by moment by moment is how I live. It's not about the end result. It's not about the final drawing. For me, it's the process of just simply putting the pen on the paper and drawing. Then I take the picture, and then I have the pleasure of writing about the picture. And in this moment, this is what I'm creating. And it seems to be touching hearts.
Beautiful. Amazing, Lucinda. It's a beautiful message, and as I said, now I might not read it as nice as you do, but I will give it a go.
All right.
Η Harriet για μένα, από την πρώτη στιγμή που τη ζωγράφισα, έγινε το μέσο έκφρασης για το πώς αισθάνομαι. Όταν συγκεντρώνομαι να ζωγραφίσω την Harriet, όλα γύρω μου εξαφανίζονται. Ζωγραφίζοντας εμφανίζονται τα ερωτήματα και λύσεις που απασχολούν εμένα και όλους μας μέσω της Harriet. Ταυτίζεται με μένα και τη ζωή μου όταν τη ζωγραφίζω και έχει γίνει το ημερολόγιο της ζωής μου. Είναι απίστευτο αν το σκεφτείς ότι ζωγραφίζω την Harriet πάνω από 30 χρόνια. Αυτά είναι 30 χρόνια παρατήρησης, γνώσης, μάθησης και εμπειρίας. Χρησιμοποιώ τη γνώση αυτή ζωγραφίζοντας την Harriet. Η χαρά της δημιουργίας είναι να υπάρχεις μέσα της ανέμελα. Όταν είσαι χαρούμενος, είσαι πιο ελεύθερος να υπερβείς τα εμπόδια. Πρέπει να σεβόμαστε τη δημιουργία μας, γιατί είναι το παιδί μέσα μας. Και σαν παιδιά πρέπει να χαιρόμαστε, να παίζουμε και να δημιουργούμε ανέμελα. Και δεν πρέπει να κρίνουμε αυτό που κάνουμε πριν το ολοκληρώσουμε. Εάν δεις τον πλανήτη από το διάστημα και γίνεις μέρος από οτιδήποτε δημιουργικό πάνω σε αυτό, θα δεις με μαγικό τρόπο τους πίνακες, τους τοίχους, θα δεις κάποιον να διακοσμεί το σπίτι του, θα ακούσεις μουσική από παντού. Θα δεις κάποιον να παίρνει μαθήματα ζωγραφικής. Εάν προσέξεις τα κτίρια, τις πυραμίδες, καταλαβαίνεις ότι όλα έχουν δημιουργηθεί με τέχνη. Οτιδήποτε αντικείμενα, όλα έχουν δημιουργηθεί από καλλιτέχνες. Αυτά αποτελούν τον κόσμο μας και του δίνουν λάμψη. Αυτή η λάμψη είναι δημιούργημα των καλλιτεχνών. Η τέχνη είναι απαραίτητη για τη ζωή για μένα. Ζωή είναι τέχνη. Θέλω να ζω το τώρα, το παρόν, όχι στο μέλλον, διότι δεν είναι εδώ ακόμα. Ζω κάθε λεπτό, από λεπτό σε λεπτό. Το ζήτημα δεν είναι το αποτέλεσμα, ούτε η τελευταία ζωγραφιά. Το σημαντικό είναι η διαδικασία όταν βάζω την πένα στο χαρτί για να ζωγραφίσω. Μετά παίρνω τη ζωγραφιά και προσθέτοντας τα λόγια γράφω για αυτήν. Και αυτή είναι η στιγμή που δημιουργώ. Κάτι που φαίνεται να αγγίζει καρδιές. I love this message that you're trying to... Thank you so much. I really love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful message, Lucinda. Now, I want you to tell us about the exhibition, 3 Places in Time. And Lucie's lunch.
Oh, yes.
Please. All the
Well,
details. Where is it?
Where?
For how long? Who's taking part? Who's, the artist of this exhibition? And yes, the message, okay, because you have a beautiful message.
Well, this exhibition is super special for me because, again, it came out of an idea 2018. You see, the thing with me is everything has a story and it goes back. It's always a seed. And an idea of something I wanted to do was to have an exhibition of my life, which I just thought if everybody did that, it'd be a great idea. They could just put their life on a wall and just reflect. So I had this idea in 2018, and here we are in 2021, and the curator, Peter Herbert of the Arts Project, got in touch with me, and he had a dream in 2019. And his dream was he saw me, a Hettis, and this other artist, Jane Allison, in the dream. He didn't know what it was. So we talked about it, and basically 3 places in time is an English portrait artist, Jane Allison, a Scottish singer-songwriter and artist, that's me, and then there's a Hettis, the Greek painter and composer of a Greek group called Chaos, House. And so 3 places in time was brought together. We met in 2019 briefly at Jane's house. We got to meet each other, the 3 artists. Then the exhibition is planned to open on the 1st of May, and lockdown happened. So the challenge was, what's the solution? So we managed to put the exhibition up in October. It's running until the end of March, but now we're being told it could be longer, but we've been given till the end of March. And because of the lockdown, I thought, what on earth? We can't have a private viewing, we can't have an opening, we can't invite anyone to come. So that was very disappointing, but the challenge was, how do I bring it to life? Well, I'll have to bring people to me. So I put up a picture frame, and I call it the interactive selfie frame. And what I did was I also brought I would have been in Greece, and many people would have been in other places until this COVID came along and we got locked down. So I was going to hang some of my drawings that Peter, the curator, saw at a pop-up exhibition I had in my flat, because I was trying to present the work of a Hettis. So I thought, well, if we don't have a gallery, I can be the gallery. So I put the pictures up. A Hettis said, why don't you put your pictures of Harriet on the walls? So I put my pictures on the kitchen cupboards. The curator saw them, so they're the ones that are in 3 places in time. They were made of a place I love called Lucie. So I put the pictures up, but then I was given the challenge of 4 glass cabinets and a bigger space than I anticipated. And he said, what can you do with that? So I thought, my goodness. So it's turned into an installation with lights and a retrospective of my life as a singer and designer. So I filled the cabinets, and then I thought I want to introduce Harriet to the world for the first time properly. So I thought, how can I do this? So I brought the letter that she appears in, first of all, from 1988, and I put the letter in a picture frame at the start of the exhibition to explain this is where 2 artists met. 2 musicians met in Greece. One was Greek and one was Scottish. And the outcome was a letter. So as you walk through the exhibition, you will see my installation on the left of Lucie in the Peloponnese, where I would have been, but I didn't get to. So I thought, I'll bring it here. So now we've got Greece in the heart of King's Cross, and then we have a Hettis on the right-hand side of the corridor. So we're facing each other in the corridor, which is wonderful. And it's running till the end of March. So
beautiful.
What I also did was I thought, I'd love to do Lucie's Lounge from here. So I've got the picture frame, and I thought, Lucie's Lounge started in 2014. I was challenged to perform in a pub and just do my own night for 3 months, once a month. And that is because I meet people at bus stops and I talk to people. I love people, so once I start to find out a little bit about them, then I invited them to present their art, their music, their poetry in this room. And I only had it for 3 months. Well, that was in 2014, and it hasn't stopped. So, and I have international artists who live in London who are professional musicians and poets and painters and graphic novelists. Excuse me, signomy. And so here we are in lockdown at St. Pancras Hospital, and I thought, I would love to do it here. I would love to bring people to sing and perform and present behind my picture frame. How can I do it? Well, I can't really, can I? So I've got to bring people into the hospital. It's for mental well-being, so it's perfect. My father was a doctor, I was a hospital DJ, and I suddenly realized that everything I love, bringing people together and making people feel better, it was just the right place to have this exhibition, I suddenly realized. And so I thought, I can invite musicians to come and play. So I did. I invited 3 musicians and a couple of a Greek artist called Pavlos, and a Romanian singer, Monuca, and I invited them to come and sing. And I said, we've got to be really quick. You've got 3 seconds. 3 seconds. We've got to be really quick because we're not meant to be meeting more than 6 people. And so I put them behind a picture frame, and I clicked my finger, said, after the count of 3, and then I led them into an improvisation. And everybody, oh my gosh, when you saw them light up, it was incredible, because for us to come together as musicians and simply improvise, the blood started to flow again, the air started to flow again. You could see life coming back to us all because we were together. It was a very quick experience. I videoed it, took pictures of it, and then I invited my friend Winston Blissett, who plays with Massive Attack, to come and bring the bass. He plays with me, and he came, and he had so much fun walking through the corridor and interacting with Harriet at the exhibition, my cardboard cutout. They got behind the frame. And Daisy Shute, who's another fabulous artist, so I invited her, and she came singing through the corridor. But I still have to do Lucie's Lounge, so I thought, how do I do it? So that's what I'm planning just now.
Fantastic.
I've got the artists, I'm getting them to video themselves.
Yes.
And we're going to see what happens, but the main thing is to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had fun myself as well. And thank you very much.
It was wonderful to have you come, and I'm happy you made it.
No, it was beautiful experience, and the energy in the corridor, in this corridor, is amazing. And Lucinda, is this the only art exhibition allowed during this time?
Yes, it is. I believe that basically, if somebody was to go, if you're out for a walk, it is open to visitors. But obviously, COVID, precautions prevail with masks and hand gels.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and it's not 2 people; it's one person at a time. So it's not groups of people, obviously. But by the time, also remember, this is on till the end of March, and it might be a little bit prolonged. So with that in mind, I am sure that there will be even more relaxation, i.e., COVID prevention. Protocol, keep it, but visitors, it will be easier. But yes.
Beautiful. Lucinda, before we end this beautiful discussion, I would like to ask you a couple of more questions. When do you feel that what you are doing is meaningful? Well,
it's actually in the response that I get when when I sing a song or when I interact at the hospital, it's actually immediate. It's an immediate response because it's the interaction, it's the communication, and that's what people really miss. They really miss communication. And when I do a drawing, for example, I was doing lockdown drawings of Harriet. I decided to let her go out into the world when this all started. And I was just posting my daily drawings. And I started getting comments from people saying, I wait for... When I go to bed, I look for Harriet on Instagram because I want to see what Harriet thinks. How does Harriet know how I feel?
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yes.
And with a song, I think as a performer, you see the effect it's because it's interactive.
Yes. So, and if you had to teach something, what would you teach? What is the best advice you can give to someone?
I really and truly think that when we think, we must remember that we created a thought. We're the one who created it. So when we have a thought, I would just say, notice, be in the moment and really notice what's on your table, what you're looking at, because that's when you're 100% connected to yourself. And when you're 100% connected to yourself, you're awake. And I also say, have fun. Don't try not to be limited what you're thinking. Remember to be in the moment and let yourself be. And I think when people are playful, they create cakes, nice gardens.
Absolutely.
We become lighter.
Yes.
And when we become lighter, we become more positive, especially in these days.
Absolutely. I have to also add, because a sign that you have also included in your exhibition, on the art exhibition, 3 places in time, there's this sign which is very important, stop.
Oh, the sign. I know you love that sign.
Yes.
I put this sign, I noticed when people were walking through the corridor, has the exhibition, I noticed a lot of people are preoccupied and their heads are down. And it was when I engaged with them, I said to somebody, have you noticed the pictures, the paintings, the art on the wall? And they lifted their head and they looked at me. And I said, I see. So I drew a little sign. And I said, in big letters, stop. And by stopping, you actually, funnily enough, hold your breath. And just stop and be in the present moment.
Very true, Lucinda. I thank you for giving us such a beautiful message. And we wish you all the best for the exhibition. I'm sure things will get better. We are positive,
yes.
And hope to have you again at London Greek Radio.
Oh, I would love to return. It would be lovely. It's been lovely to speak with you and be your guest. Thank you. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Καλή συνέχεια, Lucinda. Γεια σου.
Γεια σου.